This is going to be an open Q&A that I am doing live with my clients, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to ask me anything, program-related, fitness-related, nutrition, accountability, whatever it is. So you will be hearing them on this podcast, which is pretty freaking awesome. Here we go. Welcome to the VetRise Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing has not been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? This is being recorded live on the podcast, and it's going to be an episode, and I'm going to be talking about some stuff. But I also want to open up the floor to you guys, and honestly, just we can celebrate wins. We can talk about what's going on. If you have any questions, anything at all, like this is a good time to do that. So I have 24 days left in the police department, and I'll be done. And I was reflecting back on all the clients that have come through this program. And I thought about it, and the two consistent things that everybody here does for those that do really well in the program is, number one, they show up to the coaching calls. They show up. And even if it's just to listen, I mean, I see people right here on the coaching calls. Some people are getting the steps in. Some people are doing trick-or-treating. Some people are at drill right now. And honestly, I know that it's late. I know that we are tired. But clients that do really well in the program are the ones that show up. And the people that show up, the people that actually ask questions, the people that speak up, those are the ones that have the mindset shift. The biggest thing that I talk about is the fact that this is not just a fitness program. This is a vehicle to change your life. I love the wins when, for example, we had Jeremiah lose 70 pounds and he was able to feel more confident in his body. And his neighbors said that they almost called the police because they didn't recognize him. They're like, who is this guy? Right? But to me, the big win from that was much more of the fact that he was able to apply for a police department job, and he actually passed the power test because we focused on that. And now he's working in law enforcement, something that he never thought he'd be able to do. I love the wins where we have people in this program who maybe lose their jobs, and within the same day, because of the confidence they've built, they get another one. And you know who you are. I love the wins when we have someone in this program who moves out of their parents' basement, who gets a promotion at work, who doesn't feel the need to open up a bottle on weekends, who can finally get their sleep down, who starts taking accountability and ownership over their life. So that's number one, people that show up to the coaching calls. And number two is people that do their biweekly check-ins. Now, why do biweekly check-ins matter? Because we have to be able to gauge our progress. We have to be self-aware. And I help hold you accountable, not just by telling you what you're doing right and wrong, but by pointing stuff out to you. Pointing stuff out, the fact that, hey, on Wednesday and Thursday, we missed our workouts. What happened on Tuesday? What threw us off a little bit? What is the real underlying issue? We look at our sleep. We look at what's going really well with our sleep and what's not. Are we making the changes that we talked about? Are we making sure that our habits are getting better? Are we making sure that we're meal prepping on the weekends? Are we making sure that we are not missing out on our habits? And those are the things that matter the most to me. So I want to invite all of you guys, whoever would like to share what your experience has been so far in the VetRise Academy. How's it going, Sarah? How you doing?
I wanted to ask, the last 2.5 months have been extremely busy for me. I mean, I've shared some of that stuff with you. Mm-hmm. And now my schedule is suddenly free, and I'm I don't want to say I'm lazy. Mm-hmm. But I'm not as, things don't feel as urgent. And, how do you go from, okay, I have to maximize my time all the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to every free moment I have to do what I have to do, mm-hmm. To, having a lot more free time and being I'm just going to sit here for a little bit and have it turn into just so much wasted time. I mean, it's only been 3 days since I've been free, mm-hmm. but I feel like I've been lazy, mm-hmm. And I don't want to make it an excuse that I've been so busy. I don't necessarily feel like I deserve to sit down, but I'm also like, oh God, I'm so tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
Help.
Well, number one, thank you for asking that question because I know a lot of people are going through that as well. And number two, I'm going to be dealing with the same thing pretty soon, right? So I'm going to be going from working full time and doing this full time basically to just doing this full time. And I've already thought about that because the energy levels are going to change, right? So like when you've been really busy and you still find a way to make it happen for yourself, that is when you build that discipline muscle. Because if you make it happen when you're super busy and things are crammed and you don't have any time, but yet you still make it happen, that means that when you do have more time, you have to be the leader of your schedule. So number one, it always comes back down to scheduling. But that means that you can actually map out your calendar a little bit differently. So if you know that in a week or 2 weeks or whenever that's happening, you're going to have more open time, more open slots, start looking at what you have been wanting to do that you've been putting off as far as maybe a project or maybe being able to do a little more in the gym or possibly even just working on a personal project. And also, think about back when you were trying to do other stuff and you weren't able to, so you had to slow it down a little bit more, right? So like it's not going to be perfect, but as you start progressing through it, schedule slots in your calendar to review. Right? So like if it's Friday and you feel like your week wasn't great, look back at your week, really pay attention to it. Be like a freaking like just nerd about it and look at your Monday, look at your Tuesday, your Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday. And the stuff that you have on there that doesn't work out the way that you thought it would. For example, if you had a lot of open time on Monday, but Tuesday was absolutely just crammed, move some stuff over, right? Like you might have to start moving over your meal preps to another day. And maybe now weekend time is time for you to be able to spend it with maybe your family if you want to do that. Because now you have the availability. You've removed so many bad things and bad habits and bad people from your life that now you get to open it up a little bit more, right? But the cool thing is that you still get to choose what you do with your time. So, again, scheduling is the number one thing you can do. But also being more self-aware. And if there's one thing that you've been trying to work on that you just haven't nailed down, that needs to be your focus. And that could possibly be sleep. Right? Now, I also want to acknowledge the fact that you're saying that you feel like you're being lazy when you're not being lazy, right? You've done a lot of hard work, you've made a lot of progress, and you have to celebrate that. But also, I've told all of you, you want to be blissfully dissatisfied, which means that like you need to want more. I want all of you to want more. But at the same time, you have to recognize how far you've come. Because if you don't give yourself grace, if you don't give yourself acknowledgement of the wins that you've had, sometimes it's easy to start losing momentum because we feel like we're not where we're supposed to be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be based on the work that you've done. But that work that you've done has been pretty freaking amazing. So recognize that the work you've been doing has been working. Acknowledge the fact that you have a lot of bad habits that are no longer in your life and you've removed them, and open up yourself to new habits, new things that you want to try, right? If you've always wanted to try a cold shower in the mornings, and I know you've done that before, and going to the gym early and like your whole day is open for you, you can do that. If you wanted to possibly spend more time with a certain people in your life or have one day where you open it up to family and friends, like you can do that now. If you want to make sure that like, your meal prep is on point and you want to try different things for meal prep, like you can do that now. Fill your calendar the way that you want to. Right now, I'll show you guys. So I love sharing stuff with you guys because I think that it gives you guys an idea of how I do things, and I think that it's important to share these things, right? So let me share my calendar. So right now, even though I'm still working 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, I already have my schedule planned for the next year, right? And what that means is that even though we can see that I am working, let's see, where's today? So I have an open slot right here, and that's why I made this happen today. All right, let's see Tuesday example. So Tuesday the 5th, right? If we go to that day on the 5th, you will see that I already have all my stuff pre-planned for once I no longer have that time, right? So post to my story. I have my training time right here, what time I work out. I have my wake-up routine. And in there, I have notes of what I do, right? So I have everything in here of what I do. I have my training time in here. I have take kids to daycare. I have my work, but I already also have my other schedule. Financial meeting, check coach to-do list, message clients, update past week's KPIs, follow up on old leads, reply to emails. I have a coaching call with my coach at 1 p.m. every single week at that time, so that stays locked in there. I have lunch. I habit stack that coaching call, and I eat lunch during that coaching call time that he does with everybody, and everything is on here, right? And as I see open slots, and as I look back on my week and I think about what I didn't do that I needed to do, I put stuff in here. So, for example, if I start looking back and I'm like, well, I need to be able to do this weekly or daily, I'll put it in here and I'll put it to repeat. And I know that it seems like, well, now I have to follow the system and I have to look at everything. But like, this is a system. Like, your systems are your safety nets. And looking at my calendar daily is the best way for you to, number one, track what you're doing really well and see that you've been able to follow through with it so you can actually celebrate the wins that you've had. But number two, see where you have open slots, and you can schedule a freaking nap if you want to. Like, there's nothing wrong with that if you have it in your day. Like, all of you should be resting, especially you, Sarah, because you crush every freaking workout, right? And I did fix the workout issue with your calendar today, so that's been taken care of, and I apologize for that. But that is how you do it. I hope this helps. This is more of a tactical solution as far as strategically thinking. Just remember how far you've come, and like, when you feel those moments of like laziness, it's not laziness. It's just that you're a high performer and you've been able to do so much more now. But the same way that you used to give so much of who you are to the coaching that you're doing and the school and the work and all that stuff, like, give it to yourself now. Find areas of your life that need more of you and focus on them intensely. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, so today I was like, I can't not do anything. So I wrote a list of things I wanted to get done by the end of 2024.
Hell yeah.
And I printed out like a blank November and December calendar just so I could like map out when my breaks are, when I go on vacation. Blah,
awesome.
blah, blah.
No, that's good. We're actually going to be doing that later on in the year, but you're already ahead. So in December, we're going to have like a goal-setting coaching call where we talk about these things and we talk about having a plan for goals, right? Because I tell you guys to be delusionally optimistic and have delusional self-belief and have amazing visions, but I also want you to have a plan of how we're going to get there. And the plan doesn't have to be super complex. We talked about this the other day, but we just have to have a small list of things that we can actually do to get there. And marking them off and checking them off and actually going through them and hitting those like little milestones, it's a dopamine hit. And I would rather you get dopamine from doing the things that like will help you move forward than from sugars or from watching TV or from, watching telenovelas or whatever. Like, I want you to get a dopamine hit from doing the things for yourself that help you. And with that being said, like, that doesn't mean that you can't rest. We know that we have to focus on rest. We know that we have to get good sleep. Because when you get good sleep, you wake up with energy, you can tackle your day, you have more brain clarity, there's none of that mental fog. It's just a better way to attack the day. And you're already doing it absolutely amazing, so let's keep freaking pushing forward. I hope this helps. Eric, what do you got for me, brother?
Well, you said kind of half what I was going to say is I try to keep a running to-do list because with my projects, my bids don't always come back right away. Materials might be backed up or something, and so I'll finish up something just going hard. I worked, what was it, like 11 or 12 days in a row on that deck, and then I was done, and then nothing else had come back for me, and so I had like a whole week where I was staring down the barrel of no work, and I can't just invent it, right? So I ended up putting in 20 or 25 hours that week on my pickup, doing some repairs that had needed done for quite some time. So
good.
I happened to have the money, and I had the time, so I just attacked it. And I on some of those projects were morning to night type stuff, so it ended up being real good. But I have a running list of what needs to get done and what I can't always do. If I get home from work at 7 or 8 p.m., like there's not a whole lot left in me. Mm-hmm. Like I got home tonight, I had to replace kitchen sink, so I did that, or faucet, so I did that, and then I was like, you know what, I'm good. I dug holes and hauled concrete all day, like I'm good now. But it's like I keep that list for those days when I get home at 1 because I didn't have what I needed. I had to quit early, whatever it was. So having a running to-do list is probably the thing that saves me.
Yeah. I love that. And I also want to add that I have different lists on my phone that I will schedule time slots for. That way it's not just a list that's on my phone. And I also have something on my calendar that's called project time. And that is the only time that I actually will work on a project for the most part. Because if I keep missing on a certain thing and I don't have it on my calendar, it's not going to get done magically, right? So like if you start realizing like, shit, I didn't do my meal prep this weekend, like you have to bring your calendar in and it has to be set on repeat and you have to respect that slot. if I keep realizing that, oh, I forgot to message people on TikTok, or I didn't create the coaching call on time, or anything like that, like it won't get done. Like I have time set aside to do the coaching calls. And I love changing my calendar, because if I change my calendar, that means that I acknowledge something wasn't working properly. One of my systems was in failure mode, if you will, and I made a change to it. So when you make the change to your calendar, to your systems, it just means that next week will be that much better. So look at your week, think about what can be better, and actually make a change for it. And I have a list on my phone called future projects, and sometimes I will dive in there and tackle something, right? Like everything's on my calendar. My oil change, haircuts, which it's been a while. I think I'm due for one pretty soon. I think I actually skipped it, which means I need to change my system. Something failed in my system, right? So I put everything on there. It's like my assistant. And I set everything to repeat that I need to. I set alarms and reminders. I set travel times for everything because I don't want to miss. I've lived that life of fucking chaos. I've lived a life of just, well, let's see how today goes. And all of that just caused me anxiety and stress, and it just completely destroyed my life. That's one of the many reasons why I ended up where I was at. Overweight, smoking, drinking, going through like terrible relationships. I was not looking out for myself. And the way that I look out for myself is by respecting my time and following my schedule. Like that's what it comes down to. Setting boundaries, respecting my time, following my schedule. And I love what you said, Eric, about the fact that like you had some time, so therefore you focus on the project. Because when you won't have time, you won't be able to focus on that project. And it sounds like it was something that you had to get done, right? So awesome, Eric. Thank you for sharing that. Conroy, what do you got for me, brother? What questions do you have, or what would you like to share with everybody listening?
Well, for one, I feel like when it's my day off, especially when I have 2 days off in a row, I feel lazy. And what you and Eric said, I got to get into doing calendar, like to-do list.
Yeah.
Which would be great for me because I got ADD and I'll forget stuff unless I write it down.
So I'm not a fan of just to-do lists. I like to time block stuff.
Okay.
And I think that especially with ADHD, like I have ADHD, everything has to have a plan, a system. I have SOPs for everything. Like when you guys join, there's an SOP of how I build everything out for you guys, the program, everything. And on my reminder lists, it's tied to my calendar, and I put a time slot for it. So you can still use the list on your phone, but you have to put a time slot for it, right? And I'm not a fan of just doing lists. Like I will have a time on my calendar for knocking out projects. But I do encourage you to think about the stuff that you've been wanting to do and adding it to your off days, right? So like if your work days, if you're freaking grinding, you got your workout in, you ate the right foods, you're working on your sleep, you did some reading at night. I would love if on the days that you have a little more time, you actually have slotted time in there that says work on this project, and then you can have a project list that you can open and get it done. Because if you don't, before you know it, it'll be 2 months in and you haven't done any work on, let's just say, the administrative side of your business, right? Or you haven't had a chance to, read because your sleep habits are all off because you haven't been following your schedule. Yeah, and it's not laziness. It's not laziness. It's just that like new levels have new devils, and when you're performing at a higher level and you expect more of yourself, that also means that when you don't like feel like you're doing a lot, it almost feels like you're doing a little, and you're not. Like the body needs recovery time. If you're doing all the right things and you got your step in, or like if you want to go out for a daily walk on those off days, do that. Keep your steps up, right? Listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, read. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that because that's the thing that keeps coming up for me.
Good. That's good.
Was there anything else, brother? Feel free.
Nope. All good.
Okay. All right. And in the chat group, Eric said, the question I've learned to ask myself is, am I resting because I'm tired, or is my resting a cover for procrastination? Absolutely. Like you should definitely be asking yourself that and like really be honest with yourself, right? And trust me, if you are resting because you are procrastinating, like get up, go outside, do a 30-minute walk. I promise you, you will feel better afterwards. You will create more clarity in your life. And by the end of it, maybe you had a chance to call mom or call your brother or your sister that you haven't talked to in a while. Like that can be used as your catch-up time. You don't have to just walk endlessly. You can have a plan. Like I'm going to walk for 30 minutes, 15 minutes out, 15 minutes back. I'm going to call these 3 people, or I'm going to send these messages, or I'm going to listen to a podcast. And I promise you, if you guys do that, you will start to see a huge shift in what you do with your time. Savannah, go ahead. Yes.
So last year, I ate like 3 bags of candy before we even got home. And today I stopped for a barbell protein bar on the way home. And I haven't had a piece of candy. So I take that as a win.
Of course it's a win. And how do you feel out there walking with your kids, getting your steps in compared to the way that you felt about it last year?
Last year, I was like crying because I was so winded.
Yeah.
And we were going back to the car. We didn't make a single trip. And we've been at this since 5 o'clock.
Yeah. And you get your steps in, your kids get to enjoy the holidays, and you get to be present. So like those are all wins. And maybe the word wins is the reason why we're having trouble with this, because we feel like a win has to have like this end state of something. It is just a positive thing that has happened in your life now, right? So like there's negatives and positives. And if last year you weren't able to do the walking because you were winded, and this year you have positively changed the trajectory of your life, right? And like we have to acknowledge that. So I'm really proud of you for doing that. Thank you for sharing, Savannah. Sarah, what you got? You put your hand back up. Love it. Go ahead, Sarah. You got the floor.
Oh, I was just saying that on my check-in, I said I'd been going, and it feels like rest was never enough, and you said, I'm going to get back to that, and then you didn't. What were you going to say? And you responded, and you said, I will address that.
I remember.
But you didn't get to it.
You're right. I remember. Thank you for calling me out. I appreciate it. So if we're looking at everything, and we're being really transparent here, your rest has improved, right? But it's not where we want it to be. It's not where you want it to be, right? Everything else has improved. Your nutrition, your workouts, the fat loss that you've had, the way that you see yourself has improved. Even though your rest has improved, the fact that we haven't got it to where it needs to be, to me says that the going of always feeling like you have to do something, to me tells me that you have to like start shutting your brain off a little bit earlier. Right. And I think that if we can focus on your sleep and getting to bed earlier, and maybe even starting your day earlier, like that might be a way that you can shift everything. Right. So the way that you shift everything has to happen with something really hard. And what I mean by that is that, like, for example, if I know that I want to start something new in my life, I want to build a different habit, I have to have something that I remove from that. Like I said, sacrifices are not real in my opinion, because when you're sacrificing, you're telling yourself that you're giving up something really, really good for something different, right? But if you sacrifice the thing that is not benefiting you, whether that is being on phone, being on social media, or perhaps over volunteering yourself or giving too much of yourself to something else, that might be the thing that we have to just change and shorten, so you can have more time for you to be able to get better sleep and wind down easier and use different sleeping habits. You've done it before. You've been able to get it before. But the going thing, we have to stop and slow down and think about, when do I have to start shifting the things that I'm doing for other people or for me to make sure that I can focus the appropriate amount of time on that slowing down and winding down and getting to bed. And there's 5 things that I do every night to make sure that I wind down and get my sleep. And it's not easy, trust me. There's nights where I stay up and it's very hard. But the thing is, deep down inside, I am self-aware. So I know that I'm completely destroying tomorrow. And unless you're honest about that and tell yourself, if I do this tonight and I don't get my good sleep, tomorrow's not going to be as great. Even if it's just fine, imagine how much better it will be if we slow down and actually get to sleep on time and do all the things that will help us fall asleep. And if we've tried 10 different things with you to help you fall asleep, we got to just either try something else, or we have to really lean into doing those things. Does that make sense?
My issue is the time I go to sleep. I can I can sleep. It's I put my head down and I'm asleep in about 5 minutes.
Awesome.
But I just won't.
What time are you going to sleep?
I'm transitioning back to this freer schedule, so I can go to sleep earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should go to sleep earlier. Good night.
So what can we do to have a hard reset of you realizing, all right, I need to go to sleep now? So
I do have an alarm that goes off 8:30 that tells me I need to wind down.
And then how long are you winding down for before you actually get in bed?
Huh?
how long are you winding down before you actually get to bed?
I try to do like the packing my gym bags or bag and my work bag right after dinner, and then so like the 8:30 is like brush my teeth, wash my face.
Okay. And then are you going to bed at like 9, or what time are you actually falling asleep?
Oh, I'm not. I'm not getting up at 8:30 to do those things. I just need to do it, is what I'm saying.
So I'm going to recommend that you turn off all the lights in your where you live, and only leave level lights on, which means anything that is below waist level. So one of the things that I think we can look at is like building habits, right? So like I have 2 kids, and the number one way that I can build a new habit with them is by having like an environment change, a shift in what's happening around us. So there's no TVs on, there's no lights on when it's bedtime. So we have dinner, and they know that it's bath time. But when I put them in the bath, I transition everything to darkness for the most part. And if they've never had a nightlight and they are used to it because they understand that that's just the way it is, they're not going to necessarily want one. So it's kind of the same with adults, right? The moment that you do that hard reset of like you turn off all the lights, your mind understands that it's time to go to bed. Like, and that's just you looking out for yourself. And no TV, no music, no craziness, nothing blaring, no social media. Put your phone on sleep mode. It should be on sleep mode at a certain time anyway. And just do it for 3 days in a row, and then wake up early. And before you know it, it'll become the thing that you do. Habits take a long time to build, but if you habit stack, if you start doing the turning the lights off with packing your gym bag, leaving it by the door, brushing your teeth, listening to a podcast if you want, something not crazy. Don't listen to me. I'll get you all hyped up. But maybe even reading a book by your bedside. Do all the little things. Build a fucking system and like follow it. Like build a system and follow it like religiously. I know that if I do not wake up and jump out of bed and go to my ice barrel, my day will not go the way that I want it to. Because I've built that system. I hate missing the ice barrel. There's been days where I do. Don't get me wrong. But I know the difference. And it's the same thing with the nighttime routine. If I stay up late, or if I eat some food really late at night, or if I have ice cream with my kids because I want to enjoy their presence a little bit, that ruins everything for me for the next day. And it also kind of hurts them too. And why would I do that to them? I try not to, but it happens. But you just have to get yourself back on track, and like you have to have a list of the things that you follow no matter what. I hope that helps. Wonderful. Brian, happy to see you on here, brother. I saw your messages, Brian. I have not had a chance to reply, but I will reply. I promise you. Right now we're live. I'm actually recording a podcast episode, and I know you just got started. So if you want to share, if you want to ask a question, this is a great time to do it. Thank you for being here.
Actually, I wanted to chime in on that.
Go for it.
Basically, from the conversation you guys were just having, it sounds like between your guys' conversation, you know, you're trying to build a healthy lifestyle. You're trying to build the stability and come up with the standards for your own life system that basically just makes you healthier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, a good sleep schedule, a good eating routine, making time for yourself, communicating with others.
Nailed it. That's what we do, man. That is the goal of this program. So I'm excited to get you started. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you heard that. Because honestly, like that's what we're here for. Like I love when we see clients losing, 5 pounds maybe in a month, and that's wonderful because that builds confidence, and you're working out and you're doing the work, and it helps with releasing chemicals in the brain. But to be honest, I love it when you can look back on your month and you're like, damn, I've actually haven't missed a check-in. I've been doing my meal prep. I've been tracking my meals. I hit my 10,000 steps every freaking day. And like, I feel better. I haven't felt anxiety as much. My stress levels are going down. I don't react when someone cuts me off in traffic. People are saying that they're noticing a difference in me. I'm in a better mood. I'm performing better at work because people actually feel like they can approach me. My family is saying that they're noticing something changing in me. Like, those are the things that make me really fucking happy. Because those are the permanent changes. Like, everyone here can figure out what to do as far as a workout goes, but I'm here to help hold you accountable and, like, tell you guys, like, we're going to walk up this hill. I'm not going to drag you. I'm not going to push you. I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to tell you, hey, we're turning left here, or we're going to stop and relace our boots, or we're going to drink some water here, or there's a hole right here. But it's just about the journey that we're on. Like, the destination we will never arrive at. And I think we all have to understand that. Because the destination means that once you're there, you're happy, right? And like, we should be blissfully dissatisfied, always want more. But the journey is the thing that we have to celebrate. The journey is the thing that like truly changes your life. When you can go from this month, I have not done the things that I used to do last month, it is a permanent change for you. It is you telling yourself like you will no longer resort to the things that you used to do. You're not going to lean on the alcohol or sleeping in on the weekends and then barely getting any sleep during the week and only getting 1,000 steps a day, because that's not you anymore. Like, the old you has to die. So Brian, to your note, absolutely, we are building a healthy freaking life for ourselves here, and I'm really happy that you're on board, and I'm really happy you're here for this. So thank you for mentioning that. It means a lot to me.
Hey, I gotta thank you for inviting me on, and everybody else inviting me in and being caring. I really appreciate that.
I'm proud of you, brother. Jaime, you unmuted yourself. You have anything you want to share, brother?
I do, thank you.
Let's do it. I'm here for it.
I'm working. I got some time to kill. I'm in my vehicle delivering. I just, as I was hearing you talking about some systems and something that I wanted to confess that I recognized when I was involved in a leadership role in a veterans group. That's something that our peer leader told us. Have some systems, guys. Our heart is in the right place to do the work, present the information, but somehow we were failing. We were failing each other and not having trust with the back end stuff. And when you said systems, it came up again, and well, I had to remove myself from this leadership position because, one, I was not having fun. Two, I realized that I was investing in these other accounts outside of this group, working 2 jobs, having a relationship with someone, and also committing to this group and providing information and leading and discussing a discussion with other veterans, right? I realized that it's not being reciprocated back, and it was looking very different in a lot of ways, and it was affecting my work performance, my second job, my first job, my relationship with someone who I was dating, and my relationship with myself. I was exhausted. Mind you, I have a sleep apnea, so a CPAP machine, and I have some cognitive issues because of an auto accident. Well, something's got to give, and I realized that I need to step away from something, and something that I love to do, but I need to step away because I need to work on myself. And I'm doing that now, and I'm recognizing that I'm doing that now. I'm seeking therapy. I'm getting the coach from JP. I'm still participating in a group, and nonetheless, it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference because I want to make the difference for me. I want to make that difference for me and myself. I don't want to keep going and going and going, and I have no destination. I have no vision. It's not going to work. That's not going to work. So for those of you who are struggling and think that you are, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Get a different perspective. Yeah, I'm learning to do that with myself, practicing that, and I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Hi, man. I just want to say I love you, man. I appreciate you, and you nailed it. Sometimes we give and we give and we give, and we think that we are selfless in doing that. But if we keep ignoring our problems and we keep pushing them aside and we are not addressing them, it almost becomes selfish. And the fact that you became self-aware and you realized that you needed to focus on you, and you're doing that, and that your relationships were suffering, and you took a step back and you shifted, right? It is not about leaving something that you started. No, it's actually the fact that you had such self-awareness that you realized that you need to correct some things in your life. You need to do therapy. You need to be here, be present, and deliver for you. You just don't know who's watching. And what I mean by that is that you just don't know who you might inspire. The reason we do the transformation posts and the progress pictures and the testimonial videos isn't just about tracking your progress and celebrating where you're at, but it's just because a lot of you maybe joined because you saw someone say something that you're like, damn, like that's what I want. Or if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. And that's why we do those, because it's not just about celebrating what you're doing. It's about the fact that because you're doing the work, your family might be noticing. The people around you, your coworkers, and above all, you. And the fact that like you're self-aware, that's very important. Self-awareness is huge. It helps you build systems which become our safety nets when we are having trouble. And our safety nets are the things that save us. So I want to freaking tell you that I'm proud of you. I appreciate you. And I'm very happy you're here because you are freaking on the right path. The journey is the most important thing that we can celebrate. And all of you show up and you consistently put forth the effort and you're giving everything you have. All it takes is all you got. I don't need you guys to know and do everything perfectly. I just need you guys to be committed to change, not just interested in it, committed to change. And you definitely are. And I know that the stuff that you're going through, you're not alone in this. Raise your hands if you're here and you've felt a very similar way. If you feel like you're giving, you give, but then before you know it, like the thing that you are trying to give to almost feels like it is taken away from you because you feel like you're sacrificing yourself without even realizing it.
Hell yeah! Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So think about the value that you can provide for others once you've done the work yourself. And the lesson that you will teach, the lesson that you will have other people take away from you, it is a lesson that it will continuously happen. The lesson is not taught at the end. The lesson is continuous. People will see you doing the work. People will see how you are changing. You're teaching people now. You're leading people now. What you did was very selfless, stepping away from it because you knew that you had to focus on yourself before you could focus on others. And you focusing on yourself is you giving the very best version of yourself to others. I really believe that wholeheartedly. So thank you, Jaime. I appreciate you, brother. And I know you're not the only one going through this, so I also appreciate you being honest and vulnerable and sharing that because I know there's a few of us here who feel the same way. So, yeah, thank you, brother. That was good. That was freaking dope. Love it. Anyone else would like to come on and ask something or share something or just reflect on something or talk about their time in the academy? Joe, let's hear it. Joe, can you tell us where you're at? I want everybody to be freaking impressed.
So I'm at Fort Riley. We're getting ready to do some movements in March, maybe later. I don't know when, but about ready to go overseas. We're doing out here doing training. So I had a big win for this week. It was fun. Did our weigh-in body fat over the weekend. It was down to 20% body fat. When I started the program, I was up at 27% body fat.
Yes.
I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
Everybody take yourselves off mute. Freaking celebrate Joe.
Way to go, Joe.
Right, boy. Let's go. Amazing, man.
The reason why...
Now you gotta go get the new pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. My pants and tops are both big on me right now.
The reason I love that, Joe, is because...
And I love that sweatshirt. I got find mine.
Yeah, when you renew, you get a VetRise Academy sweatshirt.
I can't seem to find my VetRise sweatshirt. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Where the heck is it? I hope I didn't leave it at my old job.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk, Conroy. Maybe we'll do a challenge in November. We can get you a sweatshirt.
Okay.
So, Joe, the reason I love that much more than just if you were doing this work and you weren't in, per se, is because a lot of people think that while you're in or while you're drilling or if you're getting ready for deployment, like you have to put yourself on the back burner. But you are becoming a better leader for the people and those soldiers around you who you are leading, because we all know as you know, lower enlisted, we look at the ranks above us and it kind of tells you where you might be one day. And then we think about like, well, I don't want to be there, or I'm going to get out because, you know, I want to actually, you know, be there for my family. I don't want to get overweight. And like, you are rectifying the things that perhaps we're not going right. And I hope, and I think they have, but I hope that like other stuff in your life has improved, your relationships, the way that you see yourself, how you spend your time, the way that people approach you, the way that you approach people. Because like doing these things, Joe, it isn't just about like how much weight did you lose. It's about the fact that like you can show up with energy and intensity and be an example of what's possible for those that you are leading actively, right? I appreciate that. Go ahead.
I've shown people like, what? That's a totally different person. I was like, yes, it is, because I've committed myself to this program and everything that goes on with it.
Yeah, and it's not just about the physical, right? So what I love about posting those is that the picture on the left, usually the face is pretty neutral, right? Maybe even a little bit angry. But the picture on the right, you just see this smile, this like renewed person, like you're glowing, right? Right. So that just shows that like the transformation isn't just about like how much weight did you lose. It's about the fact that like you are proud of who you are. You're confident. You found that new purpose, that new mission. You start to take stuff on in your life that you never thought you'd be able to take on. So thanks for sharing that, Joe. I appreciate you, brother.
You're welcome.
How many pounds have you lost since you started?
It went down to 10, but I've gained that 1 pound. It's probably the muscle weight coming back up on me. So
yeah.
We're down to 10 pounds exactly.
Yeah, and it's not going to be linear, right? We're going to have ups and downs. Like right now, you're at drill, which means like your schedule is different. The demands are different, and honestly, like you're still making time for yourself, and that's what matters. Sometimes we have to maintain, especially if we are in some sort of certification process, Stephen. If we're going through like big life changes, we have to maintain, and there's nothing wrong with that. When I was going through what I was going through, and I was living out of my freaking bedroom, and I was going through my divorce, I was maintaining. It wasn't about like, oh, well, I'm going to crush freaking PRs, or I'm going to make sure that like I lose this month, or I'm going to make sure that like, you know, no, it's about doing what you can do to make sure that you do not go back to your past habits. Making sure that your support system and the tools that you use are from the new life that you're building. Not the old life, not going back to your old ways, not becoming a self-sabotaging motherfucker. Excuse my language. It is about like, what can I do now that I couldn't do before? I have systems in place. And you know that these systems are there. So I love the fact that you're using them, Joe. So thank you for sharing that with us. I love this. We might do this more often. This is the first time I do this, and I think we might do this more often. Because I like sharing your stories. I like talking about this stuff. I like putting this out there because I want you guys to be able to have the opportunity to like share and celebrate wins and also ask questions, right? And think about it. What's the number one commodity that we cannot get back? And that's time. But you guys appreciate this so much, and you guys show up that you're here, right? So therefore, I will continue to give you guys value and energy as much as I can, because this is everything to me, right? And when I say everything, I don't mean that nothing else matters. I just means that this is so important to me that I made sure that I deliver with energy and intensity. And I appreciate you all showing up tonight. Conroy, you coming back? What's up? What you got?
Yes, I am back. I actually pushed my workouts back because, of course, I was up late last night. But I went for a 25, 30-minute walk.
Good.
Just now. So at least I did that, and I'll be back to getting up at 5 o'clock and going to the gym at 5.
Good. I want to see a gym selfie tomorrow.
You will. You will get that.
Hell yeah. I see Allison getting her steps in over there. I think she might be running. All right, guys. I know it's getting late. We're coming up on the hour. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to stay on TikTok Live for another 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to hop on TikTok Live, feel free. And if you want to drop some freaking value for everyone that is over there and tell them to join the program, feel free. But if you guys have to take off for the night, feel free. Start your wind down routine, turn off all the lights, get to bed, and no more late messages on the Savage Chat. I want to see you guys getting to bed. Stay off social media. All right? And I'm going to lead by example by making sure I do the same. I'm going to lead by example, making sure I do the same. I have to set boundaries as well.
Can we make an exception for tonight because it's Halloween?
As long as you're getting your sleep, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I'm going to do an outro for the podcast because this is a podcast episode. So, all right, you guys get to hear how I turn on my announcer voice. All right, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. If you guys got some value from today, do me a favor and go check out the socials and check out all the transformation posts and progress posts that we posted for all of our clients. Today, you guys had a chance to listen to some of their stories some of their wins as well as the things that they're currently struggling with. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, suffering is a choice. Because if you take it as a lesson and you take something away from it, you can actually change the trajectory of your life. So again, thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate you, and I hope you have the best fucking day of your lives. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the VetRise Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join our mission, follow my socials at JP the Veteran Coach and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget that we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.